Call our Washtenaw Community College retreat to order, please. Welcome, everybody. Vanessa, would you call the roll, please?
Vice Chair Milliken.
Here.
Treasurer Davis. Secretary DeVarty. Trustee Hatcher.
Here.
Trustee Landau.
Here.
Trustee McKnight-Martin.
Here.
Trustee DeVarty's mother-in-law passed away a couple of days ago.
Oh, dear.
So he's not with us today.
Yeah, they're
We send our thoughts to him. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda
So moved.
support.
and support? Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have an agenda. Thank you. At this point in the meeting, we invite any public comments. Are there members of the public that wish to speak to the Board of Trustees today? Seeing none, we will proceed. Are there any fellow trustees that wish to address the body today? Seeing none, we'll move into the moment we've all been waiting for, which is the updated master plan report. And Julie, why don't you preside, please?
Yes, please do. Good evening, afternoon, actually. So tonight we'll be offering our final update on the master plan process and the final report, which you should have in front of you. First, just to set a little bit of context, some background on what brought us here. As you know, this process has been facilitated over the last couple of years by Albert Associates, and we have Ricardo Papini here today to present to you shortly. We launched the formal part of the process in April of 2018 with a cross-campus working group that consisted of faculty, staff, students, and 3 trustees. Trustee Middleton, Trustee Davis, and Trustee Fleming were part of that group. And that group kind of set the agenda for the input gathering stage and really was the initial leadership for the project. The summer and fall of 2018, we provided context campus-wide by putting out an environmental scan accompanied by a video about kind of future trends in higher education and the job market, enrollments, and kind of what the future student might look like to really help give some context that would inform people as we went into the kind of input gathering phase and as we had conversations about the master plan process. And that discovery phase kicked off in August of 2018. That started with a faculty conversation during August in service that year and went into many other sessions following that. And the focus was really on the future student and overall campus environment that we expected might happen considering all of the environmental factors that we had been looking at. We gathered a lot of feedback over the last year. That included conversations facilitated by our partners at Albert with faculty. We had open sessions also with faculty and staff. We had sessions with administrative staff. And we had a session with the Board of Trustees in September of 2018. And then they were back before you with a draft plan this past July. And then we also facilitated some external sessions that included alumni and students, leadership at WTMC, the WCC Foundation Executive Board, or actually their full board, and community leaders. So we had a wide range of input into this plan. And we had a review process that included, again, bringing draft plans to the board, and then that culminated really in an open house that we held in August that was open to faculty and staff. And we have a few things to give. First of all, Albert Associates, Ricardo, as well as Stephen White, who you've met, and Jeffrey Gaines, who I believe was here before the board in September as well. And then that master plan working group that really helped launch this process, even though that was at the beginning of the process, it was really integral to kind of setting the tone for what came after that. Especially thankful to the 3 trustees who participated, as well as a couple of faculty were involved in that. That was Mike Duff and Emily Thompson and Dale Petty. Emily and Dale in particular came to many of the sessions that we had that came after that and participated in a really meaningful way that was really helpful. And many thanks to the Board of Trustees as a whole for your support and input. And above all, thanks to the approximately 250 faculty, staff, and community attendees at all of these conversations throughout the last year. And now I'd like to turn it over to Ricardo. He will be going through the plan that you have in front of you, and we'll be highlighting all the work that has been done, and we'll also be leading up to some of the recommendations that have come out of the plan. So I'll turn it over to Ricardo.
So thank you very much, Julie.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
As Julie said, what we're going to do today is basically just do a page turn of the master plan update. There's quite a bit of information to go through, so I'll try to be as concise as possible. But at any time, if there's any questions or comments, please feel free to stop me. I'd be more than happy to address any concerns. So just moving through, we'll start at page 1 with our acknowledgement page. Just as Julie highlighted before, we'd like to thank thank all the individuals on this list and also the approximately 250 people who participated in this master plan update. It has been an absolute pleasure working with the college on this master plan update. Moving along to our executive summary. The executive summary breaks down how changing trends in post-secondary education drove the planning process for the master plan update. The process created high, medium, and low priority recommendations that cover the following overarching points: enriching the learning environment, applying trends to future development, and improving the connection on campus as well as to community. Background slide. WCC focused on current trends in post-secondary education to help meet student needs and expectations. As a result, the master plan update focuses on landscape character as opposed to building development and amenities, and on-campus experience over building development. So really what we're looking through in this master plan update is the landscape character and site of the campus. Image of the environmental scan that was sent campus-wide, which addressed, this was used throughout the planning process through many different discussions. This has been a helpful tool for us and for other individuals as well. The purpose is to understand the current and changing trends that will impact how the college will deliver on its mission, values, and vision. All of these are dedicated to the positive development of students, faculty, staff, and community. One of the things that we really enjoyed about this process is just how focused the college is on users. It's been, like I said before, it's been such a pleasure. We do a lot of commercial work where we focus on dollars and cents, materials, where's this gonna happen, where's that gonna happen. Even though that was touched on in meetings, it was always about student need, student experience. And that's, as landscape architects and designers, we really thrive on that sort of thing, so thank you. Strategic plan and priorities. WCC's strategic priorities focus internally by improving student and academic resources, which is highlighted in the first 4 points, and externally by developing partnerships with business, industry, academic, and community players, as is highlighted in points 5 through 8. Talking about the process. The master plan process engaged campus community in thoughtful dialogue about how the future of WC campus and its students might develop. 12 internal and external input sessions with approximately 250 participants allowed CON to develop the themes and recommendations in this section of the master plan. Activities of this process included multiple site inventory visits, implementing the environmental scan and trends document during discussions, conducted workshops and open houses to elicit concerns and issues, and developed common themes that were identified and organized into emergent themes and recommendations. Based on the above, the true purpose of the master plan update became apparent, and that was to focus on site and landscape enhancements as opposed to large-scale building development. Based on this process, the master plan update focuses on responding to changing demographics and trends and how they affect current campus users, meet student needs and engage in learning environment, create a strong sense of belonging on campus while strengthening community relationships and providing a healthy and sustainable campus. And the feedback, this page here documents the 19 organized discussion sessions from April 2018 to today that informed the master plan update. So you can see we had a lot of sessions, and each one, again, was informative and enjoyable. As a result of many of these discussions, common themes were developed, as you can see on this list. They're very extensive. The majority of the common themes focus on user needs and experiences on campus. So we have things like campus experience, classroom makerspace, flexible labs, food choices, daylit classroom spaces. It really runs the gamut. Frequently recurring themes. Frequently recurring themes from discussion sessions included enhancing the learning and user experience, increasing sense of belonging and enhanced public image, improve pedestrian and vehicular connections and wayfinding, and upgrade open spaces and architectural character. So you can see how everything's really starting to come together as we do these meetings. These themes really present themselves more and more. On August 20th, Con team, actually in this room, we presented a well-attended open house with faculty and staff, which we had many positive interactions. The comments on this page do not reflect the entirety of what was discussed. What are shown are handwritten comments that center around the educational experience, enhancing the educational experience through infrastructure improvements. So it's things like connections between buildings, wayfinding, covered connections especially. Board trustee comments. On July 23rd, Con presented the preliminary master plan update to the Board of Trustees and received comments on the following themes: improvement of vehicular and transit circulation and parking, student needs and comfort, flexibility of spaces for multiple uses, and a prospect of a mixed-use development for non-traditional uses. In conclusion, all data gathered helped develop the recommendations found in section 3.0. So as you can see,
Maybe we should just spend a minute
yes.
for the board to just read that list, just to
Question.
Yes.
Were there any surprises in your meetings with people here? Anything that you didn't expect to hear?
Anything that I didn't expect to hear. Like I said earlier, what I was really excited about is that we didn't focus on, I guess, numbers so much. We did, like I said, we did speak about budget, but it was always about how do we improve the student experience? How do we improve the experience on campus? You have the more and more I come to, to this campus, the more and more I enjoy it. And the first time I came here, both Steve and I was like, it is already a very nice campus, but the potential to actually develop it even further is so great. You have this amazing green belt that encompasses the campus. It has a great cozy feel, very safe. And then you have all this wonderful landscaping and these connections, these view corridors. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little off track, but nothing out of the ordinary. It was always focused on how do we improve the college.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you.
We talked about the need for additional and improved entry points to campus, and then
Yes, sir.
on the previous page, the north entry drive is poorly aligned. What kind of thinking did we put into either of those comments?
Oh, a great deal of it. Actually, we have a couple of, they're in the high priority section.
Coming up.
Yes.
Sorry, I'll hold my question. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Moving on to best practices in site inventory. If moving on to page 23. We reviewed the positive experience and site elements found on healthy campuses as listed on this page and determined that WCC has many of them. The master plan recommendations add and or reinforce all of these elements that you see here. So again, strong connections with the community, strong architectural relationships, and other items like gateways, pathways, and signage. So WCC has all of these. And as with any campus, there's always room for improvement. There's always room for, I'll just say room for improvement. From there, moving on to site inventory. So site inventory, we use site inventory analysis as landscape architects. We use it as a method to dig deep into a site's physical and experiential character and to understand the best approach for development. So we look at a number of things. Here we have just a couple of the slides that we would normally do for site inventory analysis. This one particularly discusses parking and hardscape. So you have the number of parking spaces that we have on campus, currently about 4,300. We're not proposing any new or additional spaces. Our master plan update pretty much keeps what you have here. But this also shows you just how much acreage that you have for circulation and parking, which is about 40 acres, both for North and South Campus. And then for the amount of hard surface you have for existing walkways, there's about 6 acres. So overall, you have on campus 46 acres worth of hardscape, but you have about 291 acres of overall, so it comes up about 16%. Final slide here just shows current transit connections to downtown Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti. So again, just how the community is connected to the campus. Moving into our recommendations. We've broken this down into 3 different sections, high and medium and low priorities. So as you can see, they're listed here, and we'll go through them individually in the next coming section. But high priority recommendations focus more on campus character, academic programs, and circulations, as seen in the context and benefits slide, or column, excuse me. Medium priority recommendations would revolve more around academic programs, circulation, and amenities. And finally, low priority recommendations focus more on campus character and amenities. So you see there's crossover between certain things, but
So, explain that you're going through the list one at a time.
I just wanted you
Yeah.
to take a look at what the high priority
Right.
areas were,
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
well, I can certainly go through.
Okay.
And we'll be going through each of those in detail one at a time, so.
But I think they're important
Yeah,
because
to see
they
as a
were
list.
themes that came across throughout the entire time that we were meeting with the 250
Absolutely.
representatives.
So you can see here, again, if any questions, they are ranked in order, just about how much feedback we got, but update to the student center update student center to the center for success. Obviously, the student center is the heart of campus, so it would generate the most amount of discussion. Collaboration spaces were very important. Again, how do we enhance the student experience? Campus front door, which would be the main entrance off of Huron Drive. Wayfinding on campus, obviously we want to make sure that everyone finds their way across campus in a safe and effective manner. Campus gateways, not only the main gateway, but also the other entrances that we have off of Clark and the other entrances off of Huron Drive. Our connection to Washtenaw Technical Middle College and how to ensure their future success. Food options, because that's a big option, big issue, trying to have a variety for students. Open space connections. Mixed-use development, again, that a little bit further, and then the town and gown connection, which basically means the connection for the town and the surrounding area, surrounding townships. Moving to the medium priority, improve parking and circulation. This can always use improvement. Just people getting in and out of the space. Exhibit spaces. This is a way to highlight student work and professional work as well. Sustainability, although sustainability is in the medium priority section, it's always in everything that we do as planners and designers. And normally, it seems like that'd be something you see in the high priority section. But it's so ingrained that it's actually something you kind of move down. I always kind of joke that somewhere along the way, sustainability will probably not even be discussed when it comes to planning and design options, because it's going to be ingrained not only in all professions, but in all users and as well as the construction industry. So the fact that it's moving down on the list, to me, is actually a good sign. Non-core student services. This could be things like dry cleaning and whatnot. Connections across Huron River Drive, I guess, again, making that connection to the North Campus, which seems like a lot of people feel either, perhaps alienated, or they're not using it as often as they possibly could, because maybe there's a perceived barrier. Where we athletics, improve athletics on site, not only more use at the health and fitness center, but perhaps even the introduction of intramural teams. Makerspace labs, these are very popular. This would be lab space for student checkout. And then obviously the natural environment, preserving what we have on site. And then our low priority, student housing, family care, and cinema. Then the Dame of Flowers facility replacement, and then student center loading dock. So the first three would probably be more partnerships that the college would have with outside entities. And then the last two would be more increasing the connections on campus, especially the student center loading dock.
May I ask a question?
Absolutely, ma'am.
I don't want to sound dumb and stupid over here, but some of these that you've highlighted, more so on the medium priority. I'm just not connecting of how you plan to do all of this. I guess I don't see an avenue for your company to do what you have outlined here. Is this something that you're doing or something that we're doing? Because I don't see it.
Well, who wants to answer this question?
Well, I can try to start, ma'am. You're still focused on the medium priority. We will be going through each one of these individually.
Okay.
So, but some of these would be, let's see, probably some private partnerships, maybe some outside developers. Is there one in particular that you're referring to?
There's a couple of them here. Exhibit space, sustainability, well, not so much sustainability, but non-core student services, athletics, maker space lab. I'm not seeing any
Sure.
connection.
If I may,
Absolutely.
and if I'm, please,
Absolutely.
may I, Mr. Chair? I should ask.
Madam President, please.
Okay. So this is a master plan for the future.
Right.
And that's number one. So as we looked and the people, everyone who gave input discussed where we are today, they looked at where might we be in the next 5 years or 10 years, or what might we need. And so these are some of the suggestions that came up.
Right.
In the following, in their designs, they have showed how the campus, the layout, where we might consider doing some of these things. But this master plan is also a tool, just like the last master plan, that we will use whenever we are doing any capital outlay projects, or whenever we're looking at, what do we need to do here? Like, for example, when we look at perhaps what we're going to do, I'll use this as in the student center, we might say, oh, we want to make sure there's exhibit space somewhere. We have to make sure that's there. I'm going to make sure there's some exhibit space in that building, or maybe in all buildings. So it just depends, you know what I mean? These are key thoughts that we heard from everyone that we will be addressing as a college community as we move forward. Does that help?
Yeah.
So,
I
how are we going to
understand.
do it right now? I'm not, well,
Not
we have some
sure.
suggestions,
Right.
but,
I understand
You know what I
master
mean?
plans, but I guess my concern, it's not a concern, it was just kind of muddled there.
Sure.
Because I'm reading this and I'm looking at, the titles, and in my mind, this is going to come. Maybe you do need to have it spelled out right now, but I'm looking at it, why is it now in this level versus down the road? Because we're going to see this again, or whoever's going to see this again, but it may not be in this order, and that's where I was at.
okay.
Just me.
Is that okay?
Ricardo, back to you, please.
I do it. You? Okay.
Okay. So at this point, we'll be going through each one of the recommendations individually. There's 23 of them, so again, I'll try to be as concise as I can. I'll just keep the graphic on. So with each, or with the majority of the recommendations, there is a corresponding graphic. So I'll just leave the graphic on the screen for everyone. So the first one was to update the student center for the student, update the student center to a center for success. So with each one of these recommendations, we have our themes and our recommendations. Our themes are kind of, if you will, concerns, issues, comments that were raised for each one of these recommendations. So, starting with student center, some of the things that we heard about, that there's limited collaboration space on campus for student, faculty, and staff collaboration. The back of house truck dock cuts off the community from the community, cuts off the connection to community park, which is a great, strong west open space. The main entrance needs to be vibrant and welcoming. So some of the recommendations that we've are proposing. Develop the student center expansion to include additional counseling, office space, collaboration spaces, and multiple entrances that would include a career transition office and a Michigan Work Southeast office. Create a center for success space for academic and career success. Expand the canopy at the main entrance to reinforce a sense of arrival and welcome visitors to campus. So hopefully this will show up here. Oh no. Maybe up in here? Oh, maybe up in here? Here we go. So we have our main campus here. This is coming off of Huron Drive. This would be the reworked main entrance drive. As you can see, here's the center campus. This blue shape here is actually a large extended canopy. It'd be a covered walkway, if you will, or a covered plaza space that would, again, be a great wayfinding device for people to come on campus. Oops, I'm sorry. There we go. A new entrance at the northwest corner of the building, right here. So again, this would create a nice strong connection to the BE and TI buildings.
Does that work on that one?
It's not.
Oh,
It was
does
doing it earlier, and
Here
then
it
now
goes.
it's not.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Get you the mouse.
Oh, thank you.
Some TV screens don't take a laser. It disappears on them.
I need a really long cord up there.
So, I'm sorry, bear with me, folks. So, moving the existing dock on the west side of the student center. Right now, the dock is oversized, and you probably don't need a depressed dock. So we can take that space, fill that in, and actually move the dock to the southwest corner here. So again, as you can see, creating a great secondary open space connecting to the community park. Collaboration spaces, one of the comments that we heard again, limited non-academic space for students to utilize and share information. So one of the things we can do to not only increase interior spaces, but to create exterior spaces for collaboration spaces. So 4 areas that we're talking about is this area right here, which we're calling the WCC Plaza. This is the new area in front of the student center. This would be the new front door for the campus. The revised main entry drive would provide open green space as well as a pedestrian connection across Huron River Drive to the North Campus. And again, as I said before, the proposed canopy would provide a protected gathering space for large-scale events. The student terrace, which would be this area located in here between the SC and LA buildings. Right now, this is where that wonderful grass slope is. The student terrace itself would become a terrace seating area that would be built into the slope. So this area here would basically create an outdoor event space. The space in front of it become a paved area, and this can be used for outdoor events, concerts, theatrical performances. Community park to the west, which is already a great open space, but we would just revitalize that further, so that creating a strong West End campus look. And then finally, the campus green, which is actually one of my favorite spots on campus, right out here. It's just begging to be developed. It's just a beautiful open space. It's just a great open, formal lawn, and its potential, to me, it's endless.
Isn't it begging not to be developed?
Oh, you mean, I don't mean with building.
Okay,
I'm sorry. I should have been more clear with that. As a public open space.
Okay.
So collaboration spaces, so obviously we can increase our interior collaboration spaces, but let's take advantage of the exterior for collaboration spaces as well to get the students out of the buildings and into nature, if you will. A little more sunlight, a little more fresh air.
and I have another question about VIP parking. How- What's the need for that? I mean, more or less than we have? I'm looking on our
Oh,
page
no, I'm sorry, I'm
37.
moving back a page.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, I can go back to that. VIP parking?
Yeah,
Oh, here we go. So, okay, I'm sorry. This small parking area in here would contain about 10 VIP parking spaces. So the idea is to get visitors closer to the main entrance of the student center. Right now, it seems as though they're parking a little bit too far. So this is just an idea, another way of the college to be more welcoming to our guests.
so this is for guests?
Yes.
Yes.
However, if you develop that commercial outlot, that VIP parking area would either front on a loading dock or food deliveries, depending on who your commercial outlet was leased to.
We did discuss that. We discussed that perhaps that this loading dock, right down here, right, that would actually feed this. So you would load up there, and then you would have smaller, maybe hand carts or other smaller vehicles that would bring that to the potential outlet building. So to reduce that, because obviously we don't want a big loading dock out here, especially at the main entrance.
VIP's parking next to the dumpster would lose some sizzle. Yeah.
Doesn't
That's
seem
where
so
you're at,
prestigious.
So how many spaces are you talking?
I believe in this space, we showed 10. Yeah, I believe it was 10 spaces.
And also for the alternative? Because I see there's a VIP parking and then there's alternative VIP.
It's a different space? or-
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Alternative VIP parking, that's just an alternative area. So if for whatever reason we didn't put it here, we can put a small parking lot right here. And again, that would get us closer to the student center access. Service. Yes.
So in total it would be 11 spaces for those two.
What's one or the other?
The second one is probably about 10 spaces as well. So it would be either, this would be the ideal location right here.
Okay. Okay.
So it'd be one or the other.
Yeah. Okay.
What's the canopy? I mean, not the canopy, but the, what's it called? Yeah, the student center canopy. Have you thought about whether it's a tarp or glass or?
No.
Or brick or?
Our original conceptual idea, it would probably be a translucent or transparent material. So glass would be optimum, but there could be other materials as well. It could be a strong tensile material.
Some kind of a dome.
Yes, yes. So, it would definitely be a high-end material for the front of the building. We talked about collaboration spaces.
I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Please.
I just want, this is a master plan. Doesn't have to be followed to a T. Because things, before we design anything or do anything, this is just our best thinking right now. But as we
Concept.
move, right, it's a concept. But as we move forward, people are going to sit and talk about these things, and they're going to say, oh, well, let's see, this is what their thoughts were. They said these were some issues. Knowing what, I'm the futuristic person that we're 5 years from now that's looking at this. Knowing what I know now, I might change something here. So it's just a thought piece based on the best thinking of the people that have given input and our architects. It's not something that we're going to have to run out and do, just like the last master plan. It was the best thinking of the time. And some of the things we did, and some of the things we didn't do. And some of the things are in here.
Well, I was asking about the parking because
Yeah.
parking is a premium over here. And I know it's going to change, like anything, but I was just trying to get a concept in my mind.
Sure.
How many spaces are you, at least right now thinking about?
Good question.
That's the reason why I brought it up.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Moving on, campus front door. I'll just go here to the image here. Many of the things that we heard, the main entry drive currently is seen as a car-centric bus drop-off loop. And then we also have congestion at between Washtenaw Technical middle college students and college students dropping off at this area. There's also a belief that's a weak connection across Huron Drive, and in some cases an underwhelming arrival sequence. So what we're proposing is to reconfigure the main drive to have a north-south pedestrian walkway. And I apologize if it's not showing up very well here. We'd have this circular bus main drop-off, but then we'd have this strong north-south pedestrian walkway. Be tree-lined, nice and wide, very apparent, create a nice safe pedestrian crossing to the north campus. Relocate the existing transit drop-off at the front of the building down to the parking structure, so everything is nice and configured.
Huron River Drive is still a surface crossing?
Yes. And other elements would be providing short-term VIP parking, as well as the reconfigured entry drive, servicing both the new ATC center as well as a potential outlet building over here on the side. So as you can see, these two buildings here, the ATC and the potential outlet building, would really frame this main entrance coming into the building, onto campus. So it would create a great shot, great architectural edge as to the student center. Wayfinding on campus. Some of the comments we heard is that there are no hierarchy of walkways, signage is limited, and no strong, again, connection to North Campus. Some things that we're recommending, a strong north-south connection, again, I'll repeat that. A strong east-west connection, connecting the student terrace to Community Park, as well as creating, you see here, what we're calling the Art Walk, which is about a 5,000 linear foot walk that would connect both east and west sides of campus, as well as all the interior parts of campus. This would provide opportunities for students to display their artwork, as we were discussing earlier. So as you can see, we have strong east-west, north-south, and then this great serpentine walk that people can use not only to get from one end of the campus to the other, but also as a way of exercise. Or every day you go out there, you're almost doing about 3/4 of a mile or do a couple of laps. Jogging. If people are here at Morris Lawrence, training, instead of just saying here, get on the art walk, in between sessions and explore the campus. Campus gateways. This is getting to what we were discussing before. Some of the comments that we heard, again, weak connection to the community and no hierarchy of entry points on campus. Again, so we're recommending creating a strong main entrance, which identifies the student center and the WCC Plaza as the main campus gathering space. Highlight secondary entry routes along Huron Drive. Using decorative road treatments at all these connections to let people know that they're entering a university campus area. These surface treatments would be a way of traffic calming, so people just wouldn't be just driving down here on River Drive as if it was a throughway. I remember when I went to university, we were on an urban campus, and it would be dangerous just crossing the street because there wasn't really any traffic calming. So we want to make sure that people, when they're coming down, they know that there's someplace special to take care of. Connect to the community with bikes and trailways, and then using formal landscape treatments to provide a strong aesthetic character. Washtenaw Technical Middle College. few things that we heard, that we have some conflicting, congested student drop-off between the college students and the middle school students, and as well as that there's a need for additional administrative space in the BE building. So what we're proposing here is adding an expansion to the BE building. So this would be a new entrance for WTMC specifically, as well as administration space for the BE building. And we're also providing their own entrance right off of Huron Drive. So they would have their own vehicular entrance with their own student drop-offs. So reducing or eliminating that congestion that we're seeing at the front of the building. Food options, currently there are limited food options on campus. So we're proposing two things: locations for food trucks. We think that the Gunder-Myron area and the student center, especially with the relocated dock and redesigned dock in that strong, what we're calling east-west pedestrian promenade, that'd be an ideal place to bring in food trucks. You have great open space connections here. You got the student center as well as the kids from WTMC that would feed both of those sections. The other option that's possible option, that potential outlet building that we talked about, the main entrance, that could become, could have food service as well, perhaps a small cafe or Starbucks or something of that nature. Open space connections. Currently, there's a feeling that there are underutilized open spaces on campus and pedestrian trails, limited seating on outdoor spaces, as well as after-hour safety concerns. So these are very important. What we want to do is create a hierarchy of outdoor spaces, as we said before, creating the WCC Plaza. That would be the strong north campus or central campus space. Revitalize community park as a west anchor. The campus green now becomes a strong east campus open space, and then the student center, or excuse me, the student terrace, that would become the central node. So all these spaces are being connected by walkways. And then the art walk itself would connect all these spaces even further. At this point, are there any additional questions or comments? Are we doing all right for time?
Yeah.
Okay. Mixed-use development. Morris Lawrence is a very good convention and training center, but sometimes it's seen as maybe perhaps undersized or at capacity. Washtenaw Community College has expressed an interest in providing housing and hotel space, perhaps even retail space, but not actually taking on the operations of that. So perhaps through development of a private development partnership, developing some mixed-use convention developments. So we have 3 locations for this mixed-use development. Sorry, wrong button. Up here on the north end of the north campus, this would help feed support the health fitness building. On the northeast corner of campus, right here, this would be a very good location because of its high visibility and its connection back to the township. And then down here at the corner of Clark and Huron, again, a great corner spot and high visibility.
You've numbered those 1, 2, and 3. Is that in order of priority, or is that happenstance?
That's happenstance. It was just
Okay.
1, 2, and 3. Each one has, obviously, there are always pros and cons for each one. For the North Campus one, it's a little bit secluded, a little bit kind of off the beaten path. And am I hitting this one right? I'm sorry. Right in the Northeast Campus. This would have a great connection to the Morris Lawrence building, and then also back to the rest of the campus. This location here, the main drawback to that one is that you would have to infringe upon that wonderful open space.
Yeah, Mr.
Please.
Thank you. Just to remind the board, the reason we are really interested in mixed use, looking at mixed use space, not only because of the comments that we have heard, but when we went through all the trends in enrollment with this environmental scan, and we read books, and we've been talking about it, and we're starting to see the beginning of it, the enrollment is not going to be where it always has been. And it is going to continue to be more challenging, and that's not a surprise to any of us. Right now, the community colleges, well, first, and number two, my second point I want to make is that we are going to need to bring in some additional revenue so that, in addition to our tax base, so that we can provide the quality of programming that we want to continue to provide for our students. And you can imagine the increasing technology costs, and what lies ahead of us. In order to do that, we have to look at some other revenue options. And the colleges, the community colleges there are two in particular that are extremely well positioned now, regardless of their enrollment. And that's Schoolcraft College, as I know Diana knows from MCCA, where that president through the years has invested in mixed-use opportunities for his college. So he has revenue coming in. The other is Macomb Community College. And that president, the one I worked with, we own everything around on Garfield. And all of that mixed-use, land brings in revenue to the college. And so they don't really have to worry too much about their enrollment because they have other ways to bring in revenue to support their college. So that was one of the reasons we thought about we might need to start looking at some mixed-use opportunities for our college. Just to remind you, I know you were all part of that, but about why this is an important thought for us.
There are data in Ann Arbor over a couple of decades of documented need for conference, meeting, convention facilities. And Ann Arbor has not been able to get enough consensus in the community to undertake any of those, which makes something like this attractive and may provide a business case for it.
That's great.
Moving on, town and gown. Town and gown is a term that we use, I'm sure everyone is familiar with it. The connection between the township or the surrounding area and the campus. Some of the things that we heard, that the campus feels isolated from the community. Here on River Drive acts as a barrier around the campus, and the large landscape berms actually create a visual disconnection to the campus. Some of the recommendations that we had, again, creating retail space that could draw people into the campus for developing the mixed-use development, again, for public use, convention centers, hotels, and the like. Creating recreation trails, which we haven't, might be kind of difficult seeing here, but we show this great perimeter recreation trail along the site. Again, public use, people coming in for exercise. And then reworking those landscape berms along the perimeter. Instead of knocking, we're not suggesting knocking them down, but perhaps in some areas we can shave them down a little bit so we create some strong view corridors and highlight architectural elements on campus. So it's one of those things that we do in design, kind of create interest instead of just leaving everything flat so you can see it. As you're driving by, he's like, oh, what's going on over there? What's happening? Oh, there's a great college in there. Oh, let me go check it out. Oh, they got recreation trails. Fantastic. So you get that public interaction.
Well, there's a difference between mounds and dirt piles too, and many of them are just engineers drew them, and no landscape architect ever got a chance to put a finger on it.
Thank you, Warren. This might work. But I appreciate you trying to put the
True story.
Moving on to the medium priority, improving parking and circulation. Again, parking, as stated earlier, is always a premium. We want to make sure that people have access to the building from the parking areas. We are not proposing any significant change in parking counts, but we are proposing covered parking areas here in the north campus, here in front of the ATC, west of the proposed ATC, and then here at Gundermeyer. And these would be covered parking spaces that we would have solar panels on top. This would be a way to create some on-site energy. One of the things that we were talking about here is removing the road in front of Damon Flowers Building. This would increase the open space on the west end, and I think would create a strong connection between BE and Gundar Myron, and then also to that new space that we're proposing here at the Student Center. Doing this, then it also isolates the student drop-off for WTMC. In doing this, we actually push the traffic back again to the west edge of the ring road here. So calling out for improvements along this road, and I think that'll, which will be a really great drive, especially when you have all this wonderful open space right here. I think it'll be really picturesque.
Just a question.
Oh, yes.
If the, did you folks look into, or is this an action item for us? If we chose option 2 on the mixed-use convention development, obviously we'd be losing a bunch of parking spaces there. Is that something that we need to be concerned about? I mean, I know there usually isn't much parking over in that area. Those are usually open spaces, but sometimes Morris Lawrence fills them up. So does that make a difference at all?
I think it would, and that's something that we definitely have to consider. And that would come in design. You could possibly do maybe like a level parking underground
sure.
drive to do that. I think we might have an opportunity to expand some of the lots down here. And, but no, that's a very strong
Because I mean,
concern.
that
Yeah.
mixed, the thing I'm concerned about is if you put it on option 2, I mean, you literally are also increasing the need for parking because of all the people that'll be using
They'll be
that
using
building. In
space.
fact, it could be a lot of parking for a building like that.
Good point.
That's a very good point.
So I'd be concerned about that.
Oh, and I just want to highlight that shape that you see on the plan. That's not a.
That's just a guess.
Exactly. But.
It's a neat-looking shape, though, I have to say.
It is pretty, it's pretty engaging.
You have a comment?
Well, I don't even know if I should mention it.
Oh,
Should I?
it's too late.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, there was a gentleman that approached me at one of the community events that I
Sure you
was
want to talk
at.
about this?
What?
You sure you want to talk about this?
Yeah, well,
Okay, that's all right.
I don't know. Should I? You guys know. All right.
Started now.
All right, well,
Kim says no.
you know something?
She doesn't want to hear anything about gentlemen approaching.
I never even thought of this or heard of this. And when he first approached me about it, I thought, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, but I didn't tell him that, of course. But he approached me about the idea of building buildings on top of our parking lot. And he talked to me about airspace and using the airspace that we have. And
That's
you
like
know, at the
Chicago and New
time-
York talk, actually.
At the time, I was just very nice and didn't, but the more I thought about it, I never thought about airspace.
Yeah, see, if we were
And-
the University of Michigan,
That's
we
where he
wouldn't-
was from.
We'd
was
be
airspace.
exempt from zoning.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
we could
township
use-
would have a
we could
real
use
big-
airspace.
No, they couldn't, not if we were on the University of Michigan, the zoning doesn't apply.
Right.
But we
So
could use
you could build a
airspace?
skyscraper if you wanted to. They can build anything they want, but we can't,
We
unfortunately.
can't.
Oh, so we couldn't use airspace?
We
Well,
might
at
be
this
able
point,
to.
we
But he
can.
would be in a
That'd be
final-
subject to
in a certain
municipal
limit?
township.
Okay.
You'd be better off fighting with Superior Township than you would with
Yeah.
Ann Arbor
Yeah, that's
Township.
true, and that is in
Exactly.
Superior
Yep.
Township, isn't it?
Yeah, that is Superior Township.
I'm not saying it's a good idea.
No, but
Actually, I never
but
It was-
it's sort of a corollary of you're going to need more parking when you get,
Exactly.
so,
Exactly.
interesting.
And finally,
I want it to be a Marriott because I get points from Marriott.
Yeah, me too.
Is there,
yes,
St. Joe's has a whole lot of empty space over there. Is there any conversation we could have with them about sharing a Ronald McDonald House with a Marriott?
I don't think they
Is there-
play well with others over there, do they? I mean,
They had it in the past.
no.
But it's, just a thought.
But we never have, I have never had a conversation with them about anything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have
did-
acres of parking over there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
You know,
And,
that's something to think about.
And it's connected, and
Yeah.
they didn't like the fitness center, but they might like
They might like something else.
a Ronald McDonald type thing with,
Sure.
along with a convention center, with a, you know.
That'd be cool.
They have a little bit of space for people to stay.
Well,
But
yeah,
not
the thing,
much.
this goes back into prehistory, but I'm not sure Linda would remember. Remember, we tried to get them interested in the fitness center,
Yeah, I remember that too.
and
Yeah.
they basically told
Yeah.
us to go fish, didn't
Yeah.
they?
They did.
And it just seemed like a natural thing, because it's right next door. I mean, and actually, if you go over right now, most of the people using it at 5 in the morning
Our doctors.
are nurses and doctors working at St. Joe's.
But
so
they didn't want to do it financially.
They did not, which was super stupid, because,
But
Well,
they
maybe
went,
they've learned their lesson.
Maybe.
Now we offer them something.
yeah.
but they paid the feasibility, part of the feasibility study, but still,
Yeah, I remember that.
Right.
Oh, well.
Okay, Ricardo, back to you.
The last section, showing a new alignment for the south entry drive. Again, to increase the kind of visibility of this drive. Introducing a traffic circle, so we have a visual terminus as you're coming up through here, and also to improve circulation from the east-west sides of campus.
Where do our high-tension wires go through the campus?
They go right through here, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Now, that recreation trail doesn't exist right now, right?
Not as it's laid out here. From what we've seen in surveys, is that there are some informal trails through this area.
Right.
So we would connect to those as well.
And that, you're saying that's about 2 miles long, that loop? 11,000 some feet?
Yes.
That would be really nice. I mean, to have that available, as a bike trail or a walking trail or whatever, that would be very cool.
Is that something we would be responsible for lighting along that,
Oh, that's
that
interesting.
path?
That would make it even cooler.
I mean, I think it would be for safety purposes.
Yeah.
where is this located now?
See the yellow?
It's this yellow line that's
That yellow
running around the
line.
Oh,
perimeter.
that
of the
little
site.
line.
Yeah, that's what it would be.
Skinny line.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would
Speaking
be
of
nice.
lighting, does dark sky thinking have any place in our master planning? Do we know the term dark sky?
Yes, sir, we do. And again, that goes back to sustainability. And again, that's ingrained in everything that we do when we're planning. We have electrical engineers and lighting designers in-house as well, and everything's dark skies. So we make sure we have those cutoff fixtures, directing everything down, LED lighting, high-efficiency lighting, and making sure that everything, facial recognition, warm colors, all that, all the good stuff that makes these spaces safe. Because you're absolutely correct, man. Because some people love to run at night and jog at night. That's just the time that they feel comfortable, or maybe that's the time that they have. Especially if you have on-site student housing, you want to make sure that's well lit so that they can see someone coming the other way. And especially, you want that facial recognition. I think we all remember the old high-pressure sodium lights. All you can kind of see is the shape kind of moving towards you, and you can't render full. You're not sure just yet. So that would be incorporated.
So all the bus service would come off Clark Road?
Yes. The bus transit drop-off would be right here at the parking structure. So you can see they come in here, and then we'd reconnect to this this new traffic circle, and then back up.
That's fine.
Moving on to exhibit space. We heard that limited exhibition space for student work and communication across campus. So this, again, goes back to our walk, as we discussed before. 5,000 linear feet. It could be longer, it could be shorter, but as you can see, it connects all the open spaces, east campus to west campus. And along the way, what's nice about the artwork, it can be permanent installation, temporary installations, but they themselves become wayfinding devices. So somebody might say, for example, like the sculpture at the front of the main campus, that is a wayfinding device, made by the sculpture at the front. You might have a piece that kind of gets a nickname. Usually somebody says go meet me out by the lollipops or whatever it might get. So these pieces become part of the campus, kind of players in the campus as well. And this is what we want to do with this art walk. So highlight student work as well as fitness. And again, connection between the campus. Excuse me. Sustainability. We want to make sure that we are maintaining WCC's sustainability commitment and mission and reducing the amount of environmental impact on anything that we do. So some of the things that we're proposing, again, that we said before, solar panels on top of parking spaces, create some green energy. And one of the things that as Rose was pointing out earlier, that we're finding the trends that we don't need as much building mass as we may have thought in the previous master plan. Times have changed, so what's nice is that all of our building expansions and building work is small scale and it's located within the center of campus. So we're increasing the density in the campus and we're not touching the outer edges. So we're maintaining, just as I said in the 2007 plan, the Huron River frontage area here on the north side of the campus, these wonderful open space preserves on the west side of campus, the western wetlands are being untouched, and as well as the demonstration lot in the southeast quadrant.
I have two questions. The first one is, I see the Children's Center just sort of south of LA.
Yeah.
What's the little yellow box next to that? That one?
Oh, that's an existing building.
That's the cooling tower.
Ah, okay. And has anybody given thought to making bridges between all the buildings?
That was actually some of the
Minneapolis style,
What's that?
Minneapolis style
Absolutely,
connectors.
yes, right.
Habit
Even to the
trails.
fitness center. Oh, sorry.
Oh, that was, those were comments that were made actually by the faculty, some staff members during the faculty open house.
Okay.
We haven't looked into it too closely on this one because we were focusing more on the open space connections,
Sure.
using trails and things of that nature.
Just thought I'd-
But,
It's not a bad idea.
no, especially, I think one of the comments was making the connection to the TI building.
Yeah, yeah.
We have them in our office in downtown Detroit. We're in the Fisher building, and we have 3 or 4 buildings that are connected. And something, people have a kind of a love-hate relationship with skywalks, because they're like, oh, you're getting the people off the street. But I tell you, I love them in the wintertime.
Sure.
I love them when it's raining. You don't have to go put a big heavy coat on. They are convenient. They are safe. So I think these are all things that can incorporate into the master plan over time strategically. Non-course student services. This would be non-traditional services such as dry cleaning. Again, this would be another opportunity for the college to engage with the private development partnership. And then the next big one, connections across Huron River Drive. We've been talking about this quite a bit, so I apologize if it sounds like I'm repeating myself here. Again, the impression that we have poor connectivity across Huron to the north campus. So what we're proposing, as you can see in these at all entryways, to really beef up their image. This would include streetscape. These are, for clarification, these are not roundabouts. It may come across that way. We're not proposing that type of traffic calming. These would be just decorative site elements. Probably create a different type of texture as you're driving over them. So that you know to slow down, just traffic calming, as well as gateways to the campus. Athletics, again, we're hoping to increase athletic use by increasing the connection from north to south campus, so people really take advantage of the health and fitness center. We've heard some wonderful things about the programs that are here, and I think as more and more people get to use it and see these great fields that you have here for play, it'll spark interest in maybe the development of intramural teams, or even just the old-fashioned pickup game of soccer. Just people, students going out there blowing off some steam in between classes or exams. But definitely getting people out and about and exercising. the desire for a makerspace lab. Currently, there are no checkout lab spaces on campus. So we can definitely develop these spaces interior, on the interiors, but we're also proposing that use the open spaces that we're proposing, WCC Plaza, the Student Terrace, the Campus Green, the Community Park, as well as the Art Walk as makerspace labs. These can be makeshift. You don't even have to check them out. Everyone just meet it down here at this corner at the Student Terrace at 2:30, and you're off and running. Or just place them on the Art Walk. In the natural environment, so it's just an image of the makerspace lab. As stated before, and the sustainability, you have a wonderful connection to the natural environment. We want to make sure that we maintain that. So that, as you can see, that with the limited development on site. Moving on to low priority recommendations. Student housing. Currently, there's no student housing on site, but this goes back to our mixed-use development that we discussed earlier. If the university does want to get into a partnership with someone, this use could be incorporated into any one of these site mixed-use developments that we were talking about before.
As we entertain some of that kind of development and we get the demand for parking, are there non-impervious parking surfaces that we could think about incorporating instead of asphalt to do something that takes water?
Absolutely, yes.
And are they cost? Maybe Bill knows.
We actually put in the last lot that we did, Damon Flowers actually put in an asphalt material that drains, that actually takes the water away. So he set the new standard for us. So,
Well, and that would be attractive when we're going for municipal approvals too. If you've got non-impervious surfaces, they won't hold you to the stormwater.
It was really nice to you take that impervious surface and then you treat the beds underneath to hold that water. So that your stormwater detention actually is underneath your parking deck, or your parking surface. Then we can also implement green roof. Again, that'll help store water for a short period of time as well. So, I mean, that's because we really don't want to have to expand these wetland areas if we don't need to. So we can find other opportunities to do so.
Ruth?
Did your study include the Geisendorfer's, which is now a tree lot, that's around the corner that we own? It's what's it called? I mean, we don't have a name for it, but it's around the corner.
Where the yellow house used to be.
Yeah, Geisendorfer's house. And now there's a bunch of trees that the county made us put in there. But it's a piece of land that we own.
That's the Franz Blau.
Say again?
Franz Blau property.
Okay, yes.
We bought that way back
That
in
wasn't,
the-
you didn't,
in the 90s.
No, our focus,
We did.
our focus was North and South Campus.
okay, all right, because we could put a
But that's a
hotel
good-
there.
That's a good point, though.
I
We
mean,
should
it's
put
not that far away,
No,
right.
Oh, if there's other opportunities, I suggest
Where is it
looking into
located,
them.
Ruth?
Say again?
Where is it located?
If you go out Yarn River Drive and turn left, and and at the bridge, turn left, and just before the curve,
yeah, just
there's a lot of trees, and that's
all
ours.
back then. Oh, actually, it's, you know, the pond, when you
Yeah.
go around.
Yeah, you can get there through the
It's
pond,
where
yeah.
all those, right across the pond.
Is that, oh, okay.
Oh, okay, that's right.
And there's a triangle of land back there that nobody owns.
Talk more minutes.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
great.
and you own that property, the house was on, the
Yeah, yeah.
farmhouse, that's right.
But if you go back past the pond, and back
Right.
there, there's a triangle of land that,
about 20 acres.
Yeah.
With frontage on,
John River Drive.
I took it to drive, right.
20 acres?
No, no,
20 acres.
How much battery?
The back end of it does touch back onto the west edge of our main property.
That's right.
We gotta
That's
look
right.
at that.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of property.
Is that Ann Arbor
I don't know
Township?
if I ever
Yeah.
mentioned.
Oh, yes, it's in Arbor
It's
Township.
not Ann Arbor
Right in the heart
Township.
of.
Yeah.
A one-story Marriott.
Yeah.
That's it, wow.
Okay.
Family care and cinema, I'll lump these two together. As changing demographics occur on site with aging students, not only childcare would be
Elder?
required, but maybe perhaps elder care. And again, and then cinemas, which really covers any like non-academic uses, basic student activities, such as movie nights. So these two could also be connected with the mixed-use development. But this, again, it's more geared towards users as opposed to actually physical design or planning. Damon Flowers facility replacement. This building does require extensive maintenance. But if we were to remove this building, then this would be a great location for a large architectural mass that would really enclose this space and create a nice, strong west anchor to the campus. And as stated before, we'd be removing this road so we have this open green space here. Hills Community Park. And
I
finally,
have a question about that.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I'm all for the dedicated access route for WTMC. But looking at so I'm driving down this road, I pass that dedicated entrance, and then passing the facilities area, it looks like it's just like one way in and one way out. So then I was thinking, what would be the potential to have just a restricted access roadway so that when vehicles, large maintenance vehicles for the campus can come out and access the other part without having to be trapped in this one way in and one way out, seeing like having to come, bring your mouse to the left. Down there, all the way down. Okay, right there.
okay.
So for me, in my mind, I'm looking at just one way in, one way out access point for that whole wing. So if you come to the right of the SR building, couldn't there be like a restricted access roadway to come onto that roundabout? So like if the maintenance vehicles need to come out there and then access the rest of the parking, instead of having to access that whole road, that whole route in and out. I mean, that would just be irritating in my mind. I mean, I don't work over there, but it just looks like it, to me, it would be great just for that maintenance area.
That is a very good point. That's an excellent point. Yeah, we try to, one way in, one way out. This is, in a way, is creating a dead-end parking space, which is something that we do try to avoid, and I think that would be an excellent way to do that.
So can we put that in there? Thank you.
And then finally, student center loading dock. As we discussed before, moving the loading dock here that we have right now, which seems to may perhaps be a little oversized, and perhaps we don't need a depressed dock. So taking that dock, filling that in, creating the secondary seating space, moving the loading dock to the corner of the southwest corner of the SC building, and then this east-west pedestrian connector. We would be closing down that existing road that we have, but we would design this road so that it would be able to handle vehicular traffic. So it could handle those delivery trucks that we have. Then you could get in and out easily. There's quite a bit of space there. And then, again, creating a nice secondary space that would connect to the community park. And then section 4, this is just a series of graphics. The idea behind this section was just to provide these graphics for you so that you can use them at your will, or at your leisure, if you will. You can just take them out, cut them out, or pass them around any way you need. I won't go through each one of them individually, but I will discuss this one plan on page 92, which would be what we're considering the phase 1 development. Phase 1 development would occur in the heart of the campus and develop pedestrian promenades, open spaces that would form the backbone of the future campus use. So east-west connector, north-south connector, as well as the WCC Plaza and Student Terrace, and then also the connection here for the food trucks for the Gundar Myron. So you can see this area, I think we calculated this at one point about 5 or 6 acres. No, it's gotta be more than that. But it was a very small area. But you can see, you can get quite a bit done in a very short period of time. And then just an overall comprehensive graphic. Closing statements. We hope this master plan update will assist Washtenaw Community College in the development and evolution of your campus. On behalf of Steve White, Jeffrey Gaines, myself, and Albert Kahn Associates, it has been an absolute pleasure working on this master plan update with this group and with this college. Thank you all very much. Again, as I said, we are so happy that the focus was on the users. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Any further questions of Ricardo? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
President Blanca.
Is it appropriate at a board meeting to take like a 5-minute break before we, or
Sounds
3-minute
good
break
to me.
before we switch topics?
I see some smiles in the room. I'll bet it will be. To adjourn,
The recess.
to recess. Do I have a motion to recess this retreat? Do I have a support? All in favor, say aye. Aye. 5-minute recess.
It's like a-
Thank you, everybody. We'll reconvene our retreat. And I need a motion to formally reconvene us. Do I hear that
So moved.
motion? And support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are back in session with our board retreat. We turn next to Vice President Johnson, who has promised us a capital project review. Sir?
Thank you very much. Trustees, so this is an update to a presentation that Damon Flowers gave to the board probably almost 2 years ago now. A lot of work's been done by the college to bring these projects along. And so tonight we're going to talk about 4 projects. Advanced Transportation Center, the Morris Lawrence renovation, the Student Center renovation / transformation, and the maintenance garage replacement. Once we get through those 4 projects, then we'll talk about ways that we can potentially fund them, the options that we have and the pros and cons of that. So that's the agenda for this evening, and we'll have fun. Okay. So we'll start with the ATC. As the board knows, the project cost is at $7.9 million. And that includes the notion that we are going to receive, and we have received authorization from the state for funding of about $2 million. It's like $1,998,000. So that the college money towards this project would be about $5.9 million. Based on our current schedule, which is somewhat up in the air because of the state approval process for each phase of the design, we're currently thinking we'd actually put a shovel in the ground next fall, so September of 20. And the goal would be to have the building up and available for use by the summer of 2021. So ready for fall semester 2021 is the current schedule. The net square footage, so what I like to call the actual usable square footage of the building, is about 13,500 square feet. The actual gross square footage, including the penthouse with all the HVAC, it comes up closer to 16,000 square feet. But net usage, 13,500 is what it is. The building design offers flexible spaces. So it's a 6 classroom building. But as you envision the use of those classrooms for the various kinds of curricular activities and other activities to support the curriculum that goes on in there, including bringing in outside guests to help advancing our thinking and knowledge around these areas. We wanted to make sure that it was very, very flexible. We do have a board policy that any new building will achieve LEED Silver status. That's become quite a challenge. It's become that much more difficult now because since the time that the board approved that policy to now, LEED Silver is what LEED Gold was. And so it is very, very difficult to achieve LEED Silver status in the building. And we've had to go through a lot of options to be able to obtain that. And that's not for tonight, but when we're ready to actually bring the contract before the board, I'll walk through exactly what those design elements are. But we have found a clear pathway towards LEED Silver.
So it's costly to achieve that.
Very costly. Yeah, very costly. At this point in time, it's about a half a million in incremental costs to achieve LEED Silver versus LEED certified. But the board policy is what it is on LEED Silver, so we're hanging tough.
When did that board policy take effect?
Oh, gosh,
Quite a while ago,
good
wasn't it?
15 years ago.
Yeah,
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
quite a while.
But we have found a very clear path towards that, so, and we're doing it. Last but not least, it's a related project, but you saw in the master plan areas across campus where we could potentially put in carport solar arrays. And it's a great option where you don't want to, we have plenty of land as you know, but the collateral impact of that, we take out trees to create room for solar array system. However, costs a little bit more money, but a carport system provides not only the solar generation capacity, but it also provides covered parking. And last but not least, it also provides an increase in the length of your parking lots because they're not as exposed to the elements. So we're currently studying putting in a solar array panel on parking lot 3 that would actually be adjacent to the new ATC building and will provide enough power so that on an average Michigan day, and I'll leave that up to our imaginations for sunlight, that it would produce enough power to 100% supplant the power needs of the new ATC building during the daylight hours. That's our goal, and that's the project that we're working on. So let's look at the project in terms of the renderings. Once again, this is the bus loop here. Huron Drive is out here, and we have a berm sitting right here. The location of the project has not changed from when Damon Flowers had first presented it. It's still, this is a really nice spot for the building. It starts to create a defined front door for the campus as well. With our student center project that we'll talk about in a bit, and the new ATC building, and then the potential, as identified in the master plan, for potentially another mixed-use site out here, that you start to frame your front door in a very meaningful way. This is also really important because it's tied to the curriculum that's going on in OE and then over in BE as well, for the CIS programs. The visual representations of the building, so we're on Huron Drive, we had just pulled on, we're about at this spot right here, we just kind of pulled on to campus, and we're looking at the building at this angle, and that's what the building would look like. It's a two-story building. That was important. It was a better fit on the land space that we had. It's not that wide of a land space. And two, it creates better accessibility for the building. When it was a single story building, it was going to sit up here, kind of where this is now, and you basically had to go up a big ramp system that we were going to have to build from down at the SC level to get up there. It just was not very accessible. And so we thought that was an important element of it. It'll be a glass building on this side, so if you think about what's going on in this building for mobility, smart cities, autonomous vehicles, so the building needs to have a high-tech feel to it that's really going to inspire and support the curriculum and activities that are going to go on within the building. And the glass helps with that. It also, once we get inside, you'll see it's going to create a tremendous amount of light within the building. So now we're looking at the building. We've kind of walked out the front door of SC, walked towards OE, so kind of the bottom of the bus loop. You can see the bus loop kind of winding down here. So now you're looking at it, looking towards the south end of the building. Here is the first floor. The first floor is cantilevered, covered by the second floor here, so it creates some natural coverage here. You're able to walk in the door here, so once again, good accessibility. The other thing that we liked about the glass front here, it gives you a sense of life, a sense of activity. So whether you're coming from Huron, you're driving by Huron, especially at nighttime when there's a lot of activity going on, you're going to see that presence, that activity coming from Huron Drive, and so to here. If you're walking across campus, you're really going to see that activity. In most of our buildings, except for Gundry Myron on the north side, second level, there aren't many spaces on campus where you really can get a sense of activity that's going on within the buildings. This really accomplishes that in a very meaningful way for us. This is, so you go, wait a minute, is this the same building? So now you get to the east side of the building, and so this will really be the main entrance here. So you're up on the OE parking lot level, lot 3 level. this will be the main entrance of the building in here from the east side here. You kind of see that second-story cantilever out here. And this will be, these doors here are for the autonomous vehicles, the electric vehicles, so we can roll those vehicles in and out here. And they then can be worked on by both the auto services side, advanced manufacturing side, and the cybersecurity side. The reason why this has got this level up here is that all the mechanicals of the building are going up top. We didn't want to increase the footprint of the building, so we've designed it so that the mechanicals are up top here. So now we've walked in the building, so you can kind of see the SC building back here. We've walked in those front doors, and you're looking back at SC. It's all glass storefronts along here, and you have your staircase that goes up to the second floor. The flooring, nothing fancy. It's concrete, polished concrete floors. Just again, it's that high-tech feel. The ceilings are not drop ceilings. They're not finished ceilings. It's kind of that warehouse effect that you see all the exposed piping. Again, that high-tech feel to it here. But the glass, the polished floor, the tile on the stairs, it helps to warm that up. And it's easy to maintain as well, which is another element of this.
That's a polished concrete floor?
Polished concrete, yep, floor there. So now we're in the same spot that we were back here. We've just turned around and looked down the hall. So you're looking back north here now. This is the bus loop running out here. And you see that the classrooms are, so there's just one distribution corridor on the west side, and then you have all your classrooms running then along the east side of the building. And the other thing that I'll just point out in the classrooms, because we were worried about acoustics, is that we've gone with a sound baffling system here that helps to diffuse the sound, dampen the sound. And then also that we did have to build soffits here to keep the sound from migrating in and out from the corridors back into the classrooms here. So now we've walked up the stairs from the first to the second floor. We walked the stairs and we're looking down, going towards the north once again. As opposed to, I'll go back to this first view, as opposed to the first floor, which is kind of a straight front across here. The second floor has a bit of an arch to it. So it creates a more open feel to it, kind of inspiring feel to it. So you're up here on the second floor versus the first floor. You kind of see it straight down the hall. The second floor, you got a little bit more space here. And that space can be used for student seating. It can be used for distribution, and also just creates more of an open air space. On the second floor, you'll also note that these walls here, so for instance, this is the cyber lab here, and these are the server room that is part of the cyber classroom itself. And we wanted that to be a glass front there, so you'll be able to see what's going on within the classroom. You get that impression of activity that's going on within there. Here we're down at this other end of the hall, looking back towards the student center here, and you just get a different feel for those rooms. Once again, within the classrooms, the sound baffles are there. And in this view here, we're back down towards the south end, but now you're looking in this student seating area down on this end. We're also going to have a receptionist desk here, because there is going to be a lot of activity in the building. We want to make sure that we're able to serve students and faculty and guests well within that. You have a good feel for the sound baffle, so you have that open, kind of that warehouse look above here. but then you have the sound baffles as a way to create more of a closed, more intimate space and better for sound as well. And then down at the far end of the building is a conference room that'll be used by the campus. The great thing about that conference room, once again, it's right here, that north end, it'll be very visible. So when activities, when meetings are going on, if students are meeting in there, if faculty are meeting there, you have that sense of activity and purpose in terms of building space that will be visible to others, and these are just a couple of renderings that we have. This wall here, at nighttime, this would be a video wall that would be a nice display of the college name and logo, and then when it's not in use, as a meeting room space. As a meeting room space, it'll be used for presentation.
I vote we have a board meeting there.
I know, right? That would be
I
nice.
second.
Make it so.
We need a little bigger room than this, so.
That's all right.
So in terms of the floor plans, this is the first level floor plan. Again, this is the entrance coming in from the student center. The stairs going up, a little bit of seating area here. We do have some mechanical electrical rooms here. And then there's 3 classrooms here, material science place, a flex lab space, and a control center classroom space. These spaces here have all flexible seating within them. We're building in a lot of technology because the curriculum demands that technology as we move forward here. We also, in terms of that notion of flexibility, and you'll see more of it on the second floor, on the first floor between these 2 classrooms, this will be a foldable wall. So you can turn a 30-person classroom into a 60-person classroom if that's what's needed there.
Is the eastern exposure below grade?
It is, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, on the first floor, it is below grade. So that was another reason why we wanted this to all be glass out here, and that these walls to be glass here. So at least there's a lot of light that gets in even on the first floor.
Great.
Kind of the garden level, as some like to call it. And then there is, this is where the restrooms are for men and women, some storage back here, stairs going up, and this is the elevator. Move up to the second floor. Once again, a lot of student seating area here. We wanted this building to be not just classroom space, but student study space, student gathering space as well. And so it offers that up on the second floor here as well. This is the cybersecurity lab with their server room here in storage. This vehicle bay, as I mentioned, cars can roll in and out of here. We are going to have a portable lift system here, so nothing will be fixed to the ground. So, and that lift, when it's not in use, will actually be stored in this vehicle, the vehicle storage room here. So it'll be rolled away. And the intent of this is that on this floor here, you'll have the cyber folks working on the car at times. You'll have the auto services folks working on the car at times. So there was a lot of thought given as to the proximity of the vehicle bay relative to the other classrooms that are there. We do offer a one-person restroom up here, one for just pure accessibility sake, and then two just for convenience sake as well. Elevator here, and then the conference room here.
I have a question here, Bill.
I just wanted to say that that's going to be a clean vehicle bay. It's not going to be a replication of what we already have in OE.
That's right.
There are only going to be electrical vehicles in that bay, correct?
Only. Yep, that is right. And then also for flexibility's sake, these three rooms, these two walls will fold away, and you'll be able to seat about 190 folks in a kind of like a stadium seating style there. And then these walls will open up here, so you actually could have a very large gathering here. So that if you wanted to hold a large conference here.
So that's where the board meeting will take place.
I mean, can I just, I'm just like really excited about this building. Can you just picture, okay, so when we did the study, we found that we had enough classrooms. Remember when you had that third company come in, outside company, to do an analysis of space. We had enough student space, but we didn't have enough large conference space, large group space. So that's what we're trying to address in this building as well. But could you imagine like this big fundraiser or something where you have, or even a conference or something where you have the entire building, the first floor and the second floor, people are walking around, and I don't know, I just see a lot of energy in this building.
If that's made available to members of the public or to
Yes.
nonprofits, what kind of revenue does that produce?
Well, I don't know that answer yet, but we'll make sure there is one. Meaning, it
Absolutely.
should,
It
yes.
would have a lot of appeal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
will.
so back to President Blanca's note there, I mean, if you can imagine being able to use the entire building for an event, or really that you can also to partition this off and you could have events, one large event up here and then a second event down on the first floor. So a lot of flexibility.
That's good.
Question, Diane?
I know we talked about this, but where's the ADA compliance for that building?
The ADA, so one of the other things that was,
That's the elevator, but when,
yep,
are the doors automatic?
you have, oh yes,
You have to
definitely.
open it? Okay,
Yep.
that's what I'm looking at.
And the other thing that's really nice about this change design to go from a one-story to a two-story is that the elevation from the parking lot here to get in the front door, even up on the second level, that grade does not require separate ramping. So that's really important for us too.
I know it was somewhere, but I couldn't see it there. Thanks.
Can I just say one more
President
thing?
Blanca?
Thank you. Just imagine, can you go back to the conference room? Please. Driving down Huron River Road and seeing that sign lit up from the street. Isn't that great?
Could have your picture next to it.
No, but isn't that going to be great?
That would be cool.
Right there.
Because
yeah.
we can't, they won't allow us to put anything out there.
Do you have the slide of the lighted one?
Just this.
You know, at night. Remember we saw the
actually
slide?
not.
It was-
Right,
We don't
no,
have it.
sorry.
See, that's the impact right there that she's talking about.
It's actually kind of a slimy way to get around sign ordinance.
I know.
I didn't want to say that.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Two questions. One, has the township seen this?
They have seen the drawings.
Okay.
That we've gone through one round of them, that as you might imagine, they have a lot of comments. We're working through those as we speak. There's nothing yet that would defeat this design.
Okay.
I'm glad to hear that.
And have the people who are going to be working in this building had some input into its design?
The deans and the faculty, I know the deans have been working with the faculty on it. We have to go through one more round of validation with them.
Okay.
But we have a lot of meetings with them.
And even clericals? Because there will be secretaries somewhere.
We haven't built room for secretaries.
So you don't need any?
There's no office spots.
Yeah,
staff.
okay.
Yeah.
There are no faculty offices or, okay.
Just the one little,
Just the
Reception desk.
Receptionist,
Yeah.
okay.
On the second. But to your question, we've got a lot of input. We have to go through one more final round of review.
Okay.
So,
Township.
with
No,
faculty.
with the people who will be working there.
But it's going to be a mix, isn't it? Is it all faculty or is there going to be others outside?
There'll be Michelle's area also.
Right, okay.
I'm just,
That's what-
I didn't mean necessarily faculty, the people who are going to use the building
Right.
need to have some input as to how it's configured.
Oh, yeah.
And there's been a lot of input. That's been given.
That's good.
Any more questions on ATC?
I don't see any. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll move on to Morris Lawrence. Kind of a different kind of building, not quite as exciting in certain ways. So a lot of the work that's going to be done for this building is kind of behind the curtain. It's the HVAC systems, it's the electrical systems, it's the doors. But it is a crucial building for us. Starting on slide 17, that the total project cost for this building is at $9 million. It'll be a renovation of all the public spaces except for Towsley. That is not within scope. It didn't need the same level of addressing as the rest of the public spaces do for it. The actual closure of the building will be for 6 months, from January of '21 through June of '21. That's the window of time we have to get 100% of the work done. It's going to be quite a challenge to get all the work done. We have worked out a very tight schedule for that.
So that will be a period for 6 months when we won't be able to host community events?
Correct.
That's right.
Yeah, and we actually set that date about a year and a half ago, working with Michelle's team, with Patrick Downey and that whole team. And so they stopped taking reservations about a year and a half ago for that 6-month window of time for that. So it has to be up with no ifs, ands, or buts. We have to be done. It has to be fully operational by the end of June. Be ready for all the training activities we have in the summer, starting July 21, which is a busy time for us, as you know. So the scope of this is to replace the skylight system, which is beyond its life, to replace the movable wall systems that we have in the large conference rooms, ML 101 and that whole group, to replace the lighting throughout all the public areas, replace all the finishes, so the floors, the walls, replace all of those.
In the room we're sitting in, how much renovation will it be subject to?
Carpet alone, that's it. This is a beautiful building.
So basically, other than this room, it's a gut rehab.
Yes, sir. Yes, it is, yep.
Are the bathrooms being gutted?
They are not.
Well,
So
Oh,
they,
there you go. It's not a
See?
gut. There you go.
kitchen?
kitchen is not.
See?
Public spaces, that's right, I should have not included, the restrooms are not included in that. We are going to change the signage in the rooms to electronic vent directory signs, you know, kind of the standard ones that you now see. On the exterior, we have the falling brick and the falling concrete.
I think that's a really good thing to replace.
That is going to be addressed.
Instead of that lovely, netting that we have over it right
Right,
now.
it's a beautiful thing. So, yeah, we actually see it on many of our bridges that we all travel.
We do. It always makes me feel very, very confident in my travels.
We are, what is in scope is, and what is new, is directly outside, actually ML 150, leading up to the walkway that leads in, to add an outside patio area for everybody to use. We don't, if you think about the campus, we don't really have any patio areas for students, faculty, staff, just to be. So it will be a great multi-function, both for us as a campus community and then for our guests who are here renting the spaces.
And for weddings.
Weddings too, could very well be. And as I said, a really important and very costly part of the project is to replace all the remaining HVAC. We replaced 2 out of the 6 air handler units. We've already replaced the chiller, but we have a lot more work that we have to do, including some electrical switchgear.
How old is this building?
It is
191?
yeah,
91?
27 years or so, yeah. And most of it is original, so. Also in our board policy is that anytime that we are doing a major renovation of the building, that we have to make a significant effort to improve the energy efficiencies of the building. It's basically what the board policy says. So through all the work that we're doing, whether it be the lighting, whether it be the skylight system. We are going to have a 14% reduction overall, with a 20% reduction in natural gas and a 10% reduction in electrical. We'll put a lot of thought on that. And again, a little bit more costly, to get that done, but it is the right thing to do. So what are those areas that we're touching? So this is, if you're coming from the parking lot, so coming from the east end, so the blue is the skylight that kind of extends beyond kind of the interior of the building. This area here are the large conference rooms. We're going to address everything within those rooms: flooring, walls, lights, and the movable wall systems. And then the green here is all the public halls, including this room here, the whole atrium area here, and going down these halls here as well, including the restrooms on this side. So we are going to address the restrooms on the back side. So those are the original restrooms. We've done some upgrades to these, but we're going to address those as well. So that's what's in scope. Here is a rendering of what it's going to look like. So here we had to address two key things. We had to address the skylight system, and we had to address the falling brick and concrete. So we are going to use the structures that are there now, the kind of the brick post structures, cement pillars here, and we're going to carry the themes of the metal that we have a few spots on campus where we've integrated brick, cement, and metal. And so we are going to carry the theme of metal across here. We'll leave this a little bit open just on the front edge of what I call the front porch of ML. And the skylight system, in part for cost and in part for energy, we're only going to put skylights in on the northern side. The northern side doesn't get as much direct sun, so much better for energy efficiency, and yet still lets in a lot of natural light there. This is a view. Now this is you walking from OE into the building. You have the same structure here. It's wrapped. You've protected all that falling cement and bricks at all. We just go with a metal roof here. In our current skylight system, this is all skylight here. But we'll go with that. And then here is, we haven't finished this design, but here is where the patio would go. And we would integrate the sculpture that we have out front here, that silver sculpture that we have out front here. Within it, you'll be able to assess it from those doors right there, from ML 150. And so that's
where our outdoor board meeting is.
Just have to get a canopy.
Or a pool.
Well, speaking of the pool, we do have a pond. And actually, we do have to do some work as part of this. We have a drainage issue coming from the loading dock area. It just doesn't drain well, and it's because of the way it was designed relative to the pond. So as part of this project, we are going to address that drainage issue as part of this. This is just a view from street level, sidewalk level coming from OE. This is street level from the parking lot. This is kind of the roundabout here as you come up. And now you walk underneath, so you get a sense of just how open it is. You start to catch the skylight system here. We intend to use the atrium, the foyers, the vestibules, if you will, that are there now. They have the sliding doors, but we're going to replace the sliding doors with regular folding doors. that are ADA compliant. Sliding doors are a huge maintenance issue and energy issue as well. You'll lose a lot of energy with sliding doors versus if you go just with swinging doors. So we are going to leave the vestibule structures as is. They're in fine shape. The windows are as well, and just go with new doors there. So now we've walked inside from the parking lot side. You walked in. We replaced all this floor is now all tile. The tile comes out. We go with Terrazzo Floors here. That gives us Terrazzo's great because it's a relatively inexpensive, very long lasting. There is Terrazzo Floors in the Forum in Rome that are still there today and look fine. So that's our marker is to be there as long as that. So, and it also gives the flexibility with colors. It gives you the flexibility of also to etch our logo in here with the floor with that. We wrap the tiles in metal to kind of carry that theme. And I just want to point out for the board on this side, the skylight would just be drywall up here, but we're going to use these LED light strips as a way to simulate panes of windows. And we're looking at the option of even putting a color controller on them so you'd be able to change it for different events that we have here to kind of create move there. And then you see the skylights here.
Are the skylights transparent glass?
They are, yeah. Going with as few as we are, we wanted to make sure we had as much light that we can connect. And then these fascias here, which are now either painted or wallpaper, both on this side, and then if you look at it from the Towsley side, we want to do a wood wrap as a way to kind of soften that up and warm up that. So here you see the ML 101, and it's all open here. So it really creates a more warm feel to it, a more polished, finished feel to it that works well with this new age thing here. That's just another view from the OE side. You walk in the doors of OE, walking down towards ML 150. And that's our ML project.
I do have a question. With the LEED Silver rating, would this apply to that, or just for brand new structure?
Just for brand new, it's per our board policy, just for brand new structures we have to attain the LEED Silver.
Okay.
Ruth, question?
Because the community uses the Morris Lawrence building so much, and we're closed for 6 months, we might consider a welcome back incentive kind of thing in June, maybe a little bit cheaper for one time, or a party, or something to welcome people back so they don't get used to, they'll go someplace else, and we want them to come back here, so. Might be a good, something like that. Some sort of incentive or.
Any other questions?
Show
Diana?
off what we have.
Very good. We'll move on to the student center renovation. So this is a tale of two cities. There are two different versions of this. As you know, the board had approved our capital outlay. And that capital outlay project included both elements of the project. The embedded deferred maintenance, which is about $6 million, and then to transform the student center into the Center for Success. And that's another $17 million on it. So we've laid this out in concept as to what the Center for Success could be, but as you'll see a bit later, if in fact that the state doesn't approve our requests for capital outlay for the Center for Success, we still need to address the deferred maintenance. That's a must-have within the student center building. So that's why there's really two flavors here for this. The Center for Success the building is about 150,000 square feet in total, so we would be addressing in that transformation a little more than half of the total square footage would be addressed. And it really would create a new front door for the campus. That's another really important part of it, and it ties in nicely with the master plan. We have our new ATC building, we have a new front door to this building, we can really create a kind of sense of landing at the college here. So the timing for this, we've just put in our request for capital outlay, the Department of Transportation and Budget. They have to review all the capital outlay requests. We aren't going to know our status till late next spring or summer, so next summer of 2020. Assuming that they approve our capital outlay request, kind of like the same track that we're on for ATC, we then would be given the authorization to do a preliminary design. So we would do that. That would take us till about April of 21 is when those have to be in by. Assuming that they approve that, they then would authorize the project and fund the project for their half of the 23 million project. Yes, sir.
Does a Kirk Profit help us run this through management and budget?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
He's amazing too.
Good.
He has been a big help to us on ATC and even to introduce our new capital outlay as well.
He's great.
And so then, assuming that all got approved, fall of 2021, we would do the final design work, which would be done by June of 22, kind of where we are with ATC right now, final design work. So June of 22, final design work, and then we would finally start to work on it in 2023. So seems like a long ways off, but it has to start now, so kind of get in the hopper. Now, assuming that the state did not approve capital outlay, we would recommend that we proceed immediately as soon as we know that we didn't get approval with just the deferred maintenance portion of it, and then kind of phase that out and I would come back to the board with a plan for the 6 million for that. But that really does need to get addressed sooner versus later in the student center program. So what's included for the Center for Success? These next 3 slides are showing the areas of each of the floors that would be touched and at least an initial thought as to what activities, what functions would go where for those areas that we're touching. So to orient you, kind of the top of the slide would be the new front door. So you come in from the bus loop, you walked in the front door here. And actually, we would create a new welcome center. We really don't have a place where for prospective students, for parents, for guests that we come in that we want to hold a welcoming meeting with. We don't have that. Most schools have that. Ours is up on the 3rd floor of SC, or we use the community room. So we really believe that should be done on the 1st floor, and it should be right when you walk in. Now, with that happening, that means that what is now the main dining area for our students, faculty, and staff, we need to find a new home for that. And we think that home should be down here in this kind of bottom left area. And so right now, the combined green and blue outline areas is where the current bookstore is. We are running an RFP for a new bookstore provider. It might be Barnes & Noble, it might be somebody else. But in that, we said, assume that your square footage is shrunk by about 1/3. Because we really think you don't need as much, because we need it back for our students. So they've all said fine, and we think the bookstore should be flipped and go in this back corner, kind of where the community room is now. Folks will always find the bookstore, but they have a hard time finding the community room. They have a hard time finding a welcome center, in part because we don't have a real one now. So we really think that our community room should be where folks can find it, and that our welcome center should. So dining would be back here, and it would be a very nice room. We have a lot of natural light back here. It's one of the things that we don't have today for our students in the, I'm going to call it the noisy dining area versus the quiet dining area, because we did create a quiet dining area as well. But that we would create a nice dining area here that would flow very nicely with the student grill area, which is right here. We're currently talking with Aramark about transforming the current grill area into be something that's state-of-the-art. We're currently in discussions, and what I have in mind with that is that design would flow nicely with where the new dining would be. So you would really feel like it's got a sense of belonging versus out in the middle of all the traffic, which is where folks have to dine today. So that's the first floor. So you move up to the second floor, and again, the areas that are changing, here's the new front door, and our new elevator that we would add would go up to the second and to the third floor with a new staircase that's open here. And so you come up here, and we want to add a number of things. We're going to add a transfer center, so create a real place of purpose for students who are really trying to engage with a four-year institution along with WCC to build and map and stay on track for their four-year degree and to get what they want to get done here towards that end. Secondly, the success coaches, we have some up on the third floor. They're not in an ideal spot. We think they need to be where all our student services are going to be. And so we want to create a sense of purpose and belonging for that. And lastly, for financial aid, you have to do a lot of one-on-one time with financial aid reps and students, and we don't really have a space for that. We have to bring them back behind. You're in and amongst the staff. It's just not very well laid out to serve our students well. And then lastly, the student connection area really needs to be changed so that it's more engaging with our students there. So those are the areas that would be changing on the second floor. And then up on the third floor, there are two new areas that will be brought into the building. One is they're now on a temporary basis for AVP Tucker's area for the community relations and the contract training work that he's doing. We have him kind of stuffed in this little area back here now. It's not all bad, but you can't find it. So we really need to bring it out. So the two big public serving areas would be for community relations, contract training, and then for VP Mueller's area, a lot of her activities that are now in ML are going to move over here. So employer.
She gets her name on that area. Nobody else gets a name on their area.
They didn't know what to call it.
That just cost her $1 million. So.
Is your whole staff moving over there, or just most of all of it? Okay.
You know, Michelle now has the marketing area back here now, marketing and communications areas back in this area here now. But the more public serving parts, of course, which are now in ML would move here. So you come up the elevator to the third floor, and this will be all public serving. And that, last but not least, the foundation area is back here. And so for Phil's area, he has some of his staff here, but he has a lot of his staff kind of strewn out all over the place. We haven't been able to get them in one spot. So we really wanted to take this opportunity to combine all of the foundation staff back in this area here.
How much square footage is in the student center building?
150,000 square.
Wow.
Nice. So versus the ATC building of 13,000.
Right. Yeah.
Do I see bathrooms and kitchens?
So the bathrooms, so nothing's touching, we're not touching any of that work, it's just staying as is. The other thing that we are going to do, our IT staff now sits in basically this whole area here. But a big part of that area is right here, which is our data center. And our data center really needs to move to the cloud. We really shouldn't be in the business of physically operating here on campus. So the notion would be in this time window between now and 2023 that we move our data center. We actually have two of them to move them both to the cloud. And that we then would have our IT staff on this side. The finance staff, which is mostly all down on the second floor, is going to move up here. And then our human resource team, which is now over in BE, would here. So you would really have an administrative, one central administrative place to do the service for the college. So and then here are just some very high level thoughts as to what a new front door for the SC building for the Center for Success could be. So the thought would be, and you get a good sense of this. We currently have three of these. These are kind of the stair structures, and then you have the indentations here. We have one, and we have two, actually four, three, and then this is the fourth one. We'd like to fill in that fourth one. That's the 7,000 additional square feet that I mentioned, and actually create a glass atrium that goes up all three levels. That really creates some new light, some new energy, and a new place of a front door for the Center for Success. This is what it would look like from ground level. The glass atrium, you can kind of see the third floor there. We're not going to extend that out, so that'll all be open air atrium for the three levels. And the other thing that we'd like to do is to integrate electronic signage within this. Now, anytime we have any activity, facilities team hangs a big canvas banner up, and we kind of do it kind of where this is right here now. And many times we get requests for 2 and 3 of those banners. So we would make this into 3 electronic signage board, message boards. That could be one that's integrating more like a ticker tape, or be 3 separate, whatever we want, but it would be versatile.
Will this facade and the ATC tie together at night?
Yes, very much so.
That'd be very striking.
That's a great point. And I actually have that captured on the very last slide here, just a little bit.
I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
No, that's okay. You actually did a much better job than the picture is going to do. So, but then last but not least, you walked in the building. You have your elevator here. This is the second floor, and that's the third floor here. So you get a sense of really things going on in all three floors. And now you're up on the second floor. Here's the kind of the glass knee wall here. We've opened the staircase up here, and out in the distance you see the ATC building here. So this would be, you're going to see a lot of light, a lot of activity, a lot of energy being created by those three.
Yeah, that'd be very striking.
That is our SC.
Any questions, Ruth?
Well, I don't know what to call it, but it looks like a cabbage patch that's over the entrance.
Oh,
Yeah,
this is a green roof.
right. But, I mean, it's sort of, I mean, wouldn't it be all the way across?
By all the way, you mean?
All the way to, yeah.
I mean, make that one.
And then
big
put
one.
your electronics in front of that?
You possibly could. We actually just started playing with it, just to give the board some sense of what this could look like. This is not meant to be a finished
okay.
product at all. But I think
It looks kind of weird sticking out there by itself, to me.
Yeah. So that's something that we actually could have a lot of fun.
Where's my canopy?
Pardon me?
Where's my canopy?
I haven't put it in here yet. You mean the Shane Park canopy?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm looking for.
Trustee
I
Davis,
really want that.
you have a question?
Yes. It just occurred to me, the front of the student center faces east, or is
It
that?
faces north.
It faces north?
Yep, faces north.
Okay, never mind. But what my thought was, which is why I asked which direction, because if it was facing east, I was wondering what type of glass that was going to be on the
Yeah.
front to help reduce the heat coming from the sun.
But the north is.
But if it's coming, if it's facing north, you don't have to worry about that too much. But still, you have to have some sort of what is it, E-rated
Yep,
glass?
which we definitely would. It's,
Okay.
it'll be the same rated glass that we're going to have in the ATC building. So, yeah.
So when are we starting?
2023
Awesome.
for this.
Any further questions of Vice President Johnson?
This is just a comment. This is very exciting, and I'm really excited to see this, and it's going through page by page and explaining it. You know, yeah, we are asking questions, and I know this is just a concept, but however, it's going to be a reality. And so as we're working these out, these kinks, and making sure everything is right, it helps me to understand from the beginning instead of later on where you're going and how you plan to do this. Funding isn't something else. I'm not going to touch it, but I'm just still wondering about the funding, because funding from the state has been, for us, is getting a little bit less and less. And so that is a concern, and I do like what the president mentioned about, some collaboration, possibly with businesses. I know the schools that she mentioned, yes, we were there, and it was explained to us very in detail how they were able to get, to collaborate with other places, organizations, businesses, and so on and so forth. So that's something that we really have to keep in mind if we want to still be a top-notch school in the country. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any other business that we should address?
So speaking of funding,
No, please, back to you.
so we really spent a lot of time then knowing that these are the projects. And I didn't mention the maintenance garage, that we are still studying the right option there, but we're absolutely confident that we need to replace the maintenance garage that we have. It's deteriorating quite badly. And so it really needs to be addressed, and that's around $2.5 million. So there's the 4 projects here that we have, and so I've offered for the board 2 different views. This first view of funding assumes that the Center for Success Capital Outlay project is not approved. So in this one here, our APC buildings, it's a $7.9 million project, but there's $2 million from the state, so college money is $5.9 million. The SC without the capital outlay project is just the deferred maintenance at $6 million. We have the ML renovation at $9 million, and then the maintenance garage, so about $23 million.
For the student center building, what we're asking from the state, we wouldn't ask them for the whole 17 million, would we?
So that's a really good point, Trustee Hatcher, is that for that project, you can't ask them for deferred maintenance.
Right.
So the most that we'd be able to get funded is 50% of the 17.
Okay, that's
about
fine.
$8.5 million.
Okay.
Yeah. So in this one, without cap outlay, about $23 million is our estimated costs. The recommendation is, assuming we don't get capital outlay for SC, is that we would utilize $9 million of our general fund reserves to fund the ML renovation project. We've got about $33 million as of today. I think we'll probably grow that a little bit between now and the end of the year. I think it'll be around $35 million. Rule of thumb has always been between 2 and 3 months of operating reserves. So I feel very comfortable making the recommendation that we could take $9 million out of our general fund reserves to fund what is largely a deferred maintenance project in the ML for that. What that means is that any other capital that we do that's beyond our normal annual deferred maintenance and capital, campus repair maintenance would have to come from new debt financings. And so the ATC building, we would propose to do a debt issuance for the full amount of the college money, the $5.9 million. And that debt issuance would happen next June, so that it's timed for the start of when we bring that building up for activity. And that the SC renovation for deferred maintenance and the maintenance garage would be a second debt issue, but those wouldn't be until May of 2022. So the timing on these two is timed to utilize whatever working capital that we have in the short term, and then when we finally have to pay for the final bills on the building, that's when the debt would be imposed. So we minimize the carry costs, the interest costs that we have to have on it. So that's the plan for that. That's the recommendation. The question is, well, can we really afford that? And so I spent a lot of time.
You can see this in your presentation.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go through every one of these numbers, but I wanted the board to know that as we typically would do at the spring board retreat, when we're talking about tuition rates for the upcoming year, that I would give the board a multi-year financial plan. I spent a lot of time this fall doing an update to that same multi-year financial plan, and really challenged ourselves on all the big key assumptions, both revenue and expenditures. And this would be going out for the next 3 years, fiscal 21, 22, and 23. On the revenue side of the house, probably the biggest assumption that I have to make, the toughest one to make, is around enrollment. What's going to happen with enrollment? What I've assumed in the forecast, that is the page of numbers here for tuition, is that for this year, that enrollment's going to decline from last year about 2.4%. That's kind of the pace that we're on. I've also assumed that next year that it's going to decline at about 2.2%. And that after that, for 22 and 2023, I've assumed it slows down, but still that we have a 1% decline in enrollment for the out years. If you look at the current year, this fall, and I would even say our early read on this winter, it isn't with new students that we're falling behind. It's with returning students. And there's two principal reasons for that we think, for returning students. One is just the strength of the economy and full employment. The second one is the good work that we've been doing as a college to allow our students to complete as effectively and efficiently as they can. A lot of good work's being done for students to complete their goal as quickly as they can and not take an extra 2 or 3 or 4 courses as they figure out exactly what they want to do. And there's a lot of good work. The student success coaches is a really good point on that. And so those two things have had a big impact on our returning student, both the strength of the economy and the good work that we do around student success. I believe that both of those have another year of impact on us, both the strength of the economy and another strong year of seeing the results of less students staying around for 1 or 2 more semesters because they've completed their goals.
Is there any way of documenting that? I mean, didn't we used to have to find out where students were for Perkins money? We used to have to survey them and say, where are you,
We still
why
do.
did you leave, and all of that for Perkins. We don't have to do that anymore?
Yes, we do.
We do. So could we do, I mean, I don't know what the return would be, but do we have enough information to contact students who have not returned and find out why? I mean,
Yeah.
before
We
we
also
start.
We also take those and we put those students against the clearinghouse, and we can figure out if they transfer to another school or they're not enrolled anywhere.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
then we had a big increase in the number of associate degrees, so we are having more students finish.
Yeah,
So,
associates and certificates, as he was talking about, yeah. So,
I mean, just the sheer number of graduates that we had
Yes.
this past year was a good bellwether of the results of the great work that the college is doing.
Of course, yeah. But there are a lot, probably some students who haven't returned because they failed, right?
Sure, some, yeah.
I mean, do we say that word anymore? I don't know.
Oh, we can say that word.
Yes, I'm just, retention is always the third element of that number, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
President Blanc?
Yes, to that point, your point's very well taken about, and we've talked about to see what's happening with
Sure.
our students and the data. But I sat on this national committee, and they said, as presidents, there was a commission, this was last year, and they talked about student success and career pathways. And one of the outcomes is a decrease in enrollment. And because the students are leaving early, and a decrease in a lot of things, like a lot of schools rely on their bookstore funding, they rely on some other funding that we don't rely on, but a decrease in those expenses. So I just found that very interesting to start then to see what happened to us. But we are going to look into what you're saying. That's a good point, because just to understand it better.
But don't you think, and I'm just throwing this out, with the aging population, even though they may have had one career and retired, but aren't they coming back so that they can?
Actually, those students are staying more.
Right.
Those students are staying more. So we are seeing those students stay more because they're looking for a different career or a career shift or to reskill. Those students, from a retention standpoint, those students are a little bit more stickier and are staying around. So we do see that shift that you're asking about.
But the percentage is lower than the youth type number.
Correct.
Gotcha.
So, sorry, Trustee Hatcher?
It's a different subject if you wanted to say something about that
I
one.
just wanted the board to know that,
Yeah.
that I really put a pessimistic view on a lot of assumptions in here as a way to stress test this. I guess that's the point, including enrollment. I didn't paint a rosy picture for it. But I do believe that on the returning student issue, that it does have a bit of a bottom to it, but we're about at least a year out. Both because of full employment and because of just the good work that we're doing for student success.
I was just, if we do what we have to do, I guess we have to spend the 5.9 for the ATC now that we've got the state money. Oh, heck. And we have to spend the 9 million on ML, or we'll get sued with someone's rock falling on someone's head. At least the 6 million from deferred maintenance and 2.5 from the maintenance garage. So that's, what is that, 22 million? That we sort of are locked, 23 that we're locked into?
Yep, right up.
Did you do that?
23 million.
Okay, that's
Yep.
that,
Yep,
okay.
that's
And
right.
that's not including 8.5 million more for the Success Center.
Right. Which I've got another slide that shows that.
Okay, fine.
But to your.
But do we have the 23 million? We do.
So we've got reserves of 33 million.
Right.
Right now.
But you want to keep 3 months
We
of
really, I strongly
that's true.
recommend
3
to
months,
the board
okay,
that
fine.
we keep between 2 and 3 months.
Oh, dear.
Now, so
That only
what
gives
is
us
that
2.5
debt?
months. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that's right. Yep.
I'm sorry, I was out of order.
Come back in order.
I was just saying, as we were talking, as Bill pointed out to me, that will, and we hate that, but it will only leave us with 2.5 months.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah. But we don't, doing it this way, but we'll just work.
But here is what that costs us. So in that first option, without the capital outlay for the Center for Success, This line right here is the debt service line. And this is we're still paying off the debt that we own for the fitness center. That's the $1.2 million. See, doing that first 5.9 million worth of debt kicks us up to 1.6 million here. So about another 400,000. And then the next year, when we then borrow for another 6 million for SC, deferred maintenance, and 2.5 million for the maintenance garage. That's another roughly 600,000. So the stress test that I kept doing with our model is, can we afford this? If I assume things are not going to go perfectly for us, and we're going to have some disappointments, like another year of 2.2% decline in enrollment. That's not our goal. We're going to work really hard to ensure that doesn't happen. But if it did happen, what's that impact? And the answer is yes, that I'm very comfortable in this first scenario without having to spend the extra money for the Center for Success, that we will be fine. We'll still have 2.5 months in reserve, and we'll have taken on enough debt that I'm very confident that we'll be able to self-fund that debt with no issues.
I just had a thought. So we're spending this money, but did you look at what we will gain from doing all of this?
Well,
The end product, the end result?
The biggest area of gain, so for the ML renovation, I've already assumed they were able to increase our rates for rental a little bit. Yeah. So I've already assumed some incremental revenue for that. For ATC, our view is that if we're not transforming our curriculum to meet kind of the skills training needs of tomorrow, that our current curriculum will not have the level of enrollment that it does. So that we really need to do that just to maintain the enrollment that we have in those areas like cybersecurity as it relates to smart cities, or like auto services as it relates to autonomous vehicles. That these are must-haves, that we need to have these classrooms, this equipment to be able to support that.
So it's not just ATC?
In terms of curriculum,
Yeah.
it is.
Well, no, if I may, oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
no, please.
Please.
Okay, no, it's not just ATC.
Yeah, right.
So it's called the Advanced Transportation
I understand
Center because that's what we applied for. But through, boy, everything's always changing and moving forward, the building actually, although it supports advanced transportation, and really cybersecurity is a part of advanced transportation, it's really entering the whole area of mobility and the smart cities, all the grids that are happening and just everything that's going on. So it really would be, what were we saying, a smart, what was
Smart
it?
Cities Innovation Center.
The Smart Cities Innovation Center is probably what that building will transform to. So it will, the curriculum, and in that curriculum will be, thank God, our faculty in those areas are always training and upgrading their curriculum. They will have to continue to upgrade their curriculum. But in addition, high reliance on what we do in training, Michelle's area, where, we're already doing fiber optics, say some of the,
Right, we're
mention some
building
of the
fiber
class.
optics, we're building a 5G communications training. Right now, we're going to partner with Qualcomm to do that. We're building artificial intelligence training right now. Excel, it's kind of an expanded analytics, data analytics pieces. I mean, the whole future of every industry really relies on the data futures of everything. I mean, data is the future, so it's really taking a look at all of those different components as it falls within the IT infrastructure and how that actually has disrupted every single industry.
So we don't really have an ATC program right now?
Yeah, we do.
We do. And how many classes do we have?
I have built in non-credit, I've built probably 6, I think we've got 6 6 that are built online.
Okay,
And then we've got another 3 that we're building this year.
okay.
And then for
credit?
degree credit, I wish Brandon was here. He
Yeah.
just told me how the,
Our technician programs, our data analytics program, and our cybersecurity program.
Are all under the ATC
Under the ATC,
umbrella?
So your prior train, you've got a testing technician degree, for example, where IT is teaching, Reichert is teaching a class as it relates to automotive.
Sure.
And my son just got hired before a motor company because of it. So that's kind of the neat piece where it's integrating, right?
Does he have health insurance?
I
Oh, I'm sorry. So
don't
my
know if
business.
he'll have health insurance.
Thank you.
I think so.
I understand.
And then if we move on, last but not least, if we move on to the scenario where the capital outlay project for Center for Success is approved, here is where our cost goes from 6 million up to 15 million. And so this debt issue, this second debt issue goes up accordingly. So then, I then ran the stress tests on it here, once again, because that debt cost, which was at about 2.2 million, now has gone up to 2.8 million, so you get another 600 grand of debt cost. And here is the punchline. And I put it right here as this line 3, it can be whatever we want it to be. But I do think we'll need some new incremental revenue source. That it could be a facilities fee, it could be anything, right? But we'll need some new incremental revenue source to help to support that additional debt to fund the capital outlay.
Yeah.
That's a few years out from now, that's 2 or 3 years. I'm sure the landscape will change a lot, but sitting here today, do I think it's possible? I mean, as we looked at fees, if you just look at fees as one option, we looked at fees last year, and we are one of the very few colleges that does not have a facilities fee.
Yeah.
And so that is a possibility. Again, the board will have lots of options to look at the time. So with that said, in summary, we've got the 4 projects that are going to be constructed over the next 4 years. It includes about 16.5 million of deferred maintenance alone. That's a really important element of this. And anywhere from 7 to 16 million of additional CapEx, like the building of a new ATC building, or if we get the Center for Success. And the proposal is that we have 9 million approved in support of the Morris Lawrence building to be funded from the general fund reserve, and that the ATC building be funded from a new debt issuance. I think the board has 2 draft memorandums that speak to those 2 requests. So at the next meeting, we would be asking the board to approve, not
not
tonight.
approve it.
Not
Right.
tonight, but at the December meeting, that we would be asking the board to approve both projects, both the ATC project and the Morris Lawrence project.
So you're not going to hear this at the next meeting? I mean, following this at the board meeting? This is, no, this is, yeah.
Any other questions?
I have a question. So I got to thinking, a couple of these projects would be overlapping. I looked at it, it's about a six-month overlap, like with the ATC and the ML project. And because I've only been here for a short period of time, other major projects that have incurred on campus, how has the campus been notified in preparing, the students, the staff, and the community, and what have you, letting them know that we've got something going on, so that they wouldn't show up. Obviously, they just wouldn't show up.
Right.
Oh, wow, what happened here? I wish I knew. But in terms of marketing, getting that message out, how far in advance and what sort of methods have been used or will continue to be used for this time around for that to be made known for everyone, that we've got, some not just so much just one particular project, but there's going to be an impact of two major changes happening at one particular time between from January to July of 2021. And then with that, it doesn't look like parking will be affected, but, what about, our handicap parking, things like that, to make it accessible so that it can still be a user-friendly campus.
I think as to your last point, fortunately, because of the nature of where the ATC is going, there won't be much impact to parking. That's right. And that for ML, since we're going to be closing that building down, once again, no impact there. However, we do have to work on both a communication and a marketing plan. To your point, very well taken. We need to turn this into a positive. A lot of negative things happen when you're building, folks have a different pattern how they get to places. So we need to turn this into a positive.
And we've learned from our mistakes in the past. We've made some mistakes with building, renovations in buildings, and we do learn from that.
Right.
And we don't want to repeat those things
Right.
moving forward. So thank you. And
I mean, I don't know how far in advance, like, for example, Billy Joel is already selling his tickets like 8 months in advance. I'm just saying, is it 8 months or is it a year in advance? Kind of put the bug in folks' ear, this is what to expect. And to your, statement there, making it yours too, making it a positive impact so that everyone can be just as excited as we are with the transformations.
thank you.
Thank you.
Does that conclude your report?
It does, thank you.
Any further questions?
May I say one thing?
Please.
Bill has done an outstanding job with his team. And I really would like to thank you, Bill. This is in addition to what he does, did, as a CFO, he's assumed this responsibility of overseeing the campus operations and has led it to this point. This is an example of the work that he does. So, Bill, I want to thank you and your team for doing such an outstanding job and for everything you do. Thank you.
Well done. Great. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the board retreat.
So moved.
Word and support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.